Hi, everybody. My name is Zeb Wellborn, President and CEO of the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce. Today, I'm here with Katie Britt from ACCE. ACCE. She handles the social media for ACCE, along with several other marketing things. I got a chance to connect and meet with her a few times over the last few years, but most recently at the last ACCE conference. And so we got a chance to hang out and chat a little bit. And so I'm excited to chat about social media marketing for Chambers of Commerce today. So, Katie, thank you for joining me today. Would you give a little, just your background, about how you've gotten involved in social media and your role with ACCE?
Sure, absolutely. So thank you for having me, Jeb. I'm really happy to be here. I've been with ACCE for a little over a year now, but I come from a Chamber of Commerce background. I've worked with the chamber in North Texas, and my social media background, I think, goes all the way back to the beginning of Facebook in 2006. And I've grown with all the platforms that have come through that way. And I've worked in advertising agencies, I've done news work, I've done uh, worked for private organization as well as moving into the chamber industry. So I really love what I get to do with the chamber world and social media and helping other chambers do that as well as my own. I have quite a few channels.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So let's talk about like what got you involved in social media marketing back when it first started. I think you said 2006, 2007, somewhere around there. Tell me
Yeah, but
about what got you involved
oh,
in that in the first place.
I'm going to age myself so bad. So in 2006, when Facebook first came out, as we all know, it was Mark Zuckerberg's. It was all the games. There were the vampire games where you played those silly games on there, and nobody really knew what was going on with this brand new platform, other than MySpace, which was before that. But we're not going to talk about Tom and MySpace. But Facebook was one I was working at an advertising agency and really getting into that and started to notice, okay, well, there's a way that we could put our members, our clients, we could advertise them on their page and using their cover image and doing stuff like that. So just I also had side jobs that I worked, and so I would start posting what I was doing when I was doing it, and people started showing up wherever I was because they were seeing that stuff. So I started to develop that personal brand through my Facebook page, which started to say, wait a second, let's start doing this with our customers and getting their pages going and helping them get there. And it's just continued to go. And then pages came out and businesses had to switch over. So it's just been a lot of changes over the last almost 20 years.
Yeah, no, time flies for sure. And I remember, so when MySpace came out, I was teaching high school history, and I had a bunch of kids that were saying like, oh, they're like referencing MySpace and stuff. So I had to check it out at that point in time. And then yeah, and then I think I would say that I was a fast adopter of Facebook, but I also wasn't for Facebook when I first heard about it or got on it. But after about a year or two, I kind of realized that that was going to be a thing that was going to be around for a while, and obviously built a business around it. Um, what I wanted to chat about today mostly was what we call like social media wins. Like these are things that either that you know of in the role that you are performing, or maybe you see other chambers that are doing stuff really well. What are some things that people are doing really well on social media, either that you've witnessed and observed, or that you feel like you're doing well that you can highlight?
Great. So when it comes to working with chambers and whatnot, and any business really, I think that people that are doing it well are the ones that are telling stories about the people that are either coming into their business or the members that chambers have. So I think that, for instance, if your member comes in and brings you cookies, then taking a photo of you as a CEO or your membership development person with them and talking a little bit about that member that came in, that it's just those types of photos and stories are going to get a lot more traction. So I see people actually using videos that are authentic, that aren't a CEO behind a desk or just actually getting out there and talking a little bit about the things going on in their communities. Also, what I see people doing well are starting to dive more into reels, that short form video content that people can quickly consume and get what they want out of it quickly. But that's just one other thing. I know that can seem a little daunting to people who aren't used to using that type of platform. Another thing I think that people do well are those that when you have an event, you're taking a lot of experiential storytelling type photos throughout that event. And then you're tagging your members in each of those photos that you see and that you upload. So like giving people that feel of FOMO and showing them, hey, you missed out if you didn't make it, so be sure to come next month. And having that call to action on every post to get people to understand how do I get signed up. Don't waste any opportunity that you post to not promote what's going on next, but don't make it the most important part of that post.
Okay, so good. So let's cover some of those things. Let's talk about storytelling. I do feel like that's one of the things that I try to educate my team, people that are around me. But it's not an easy. It's not necessarily the easiest thing to wrap your head around. Like, how do I storytell, or how do I do it? You gave a really nice example of that. What are some ways that you feel like we could guide people watching this to post to think more storytelling when they're posting their stuff? I think I heard it once when I was talking with a golf course general manager when I first started doing social media. He's like, "Yeah, I get social media. It's kind of like a bulletin board. You just post your flyers up and do stuff like that." And I'm like, "That's not what it is." But I want to hear your feedback. Like, what are some ways that we get people to think about the storytelling piece that where they're actually like it's actionable and it's easy to do?
Well, I think that a lot of time people, when it comes to social, they think that storytelling is a really long video or a really long post. And it doesn't have to be. It can be, it could just be, hey, I'm Katie, and I just went to my local coffee shop, and guess what they're doing today? And we're so glad they're a member, and that's part of your storytelling because it's all the little pieces that add up to the whole. So you don't have to, the history of this coffee shop was da 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 da. And here's their link to their website. You don't have to do all that. It's just being consistent and showing up and saying, I stopped in and got a cup of coffee from there. And it makes it more simple and feasible for everybody.
And then one of the other thing is like, I guess another thing that people have a tough time wrapping their head around is like, we'll say ROI as an example. So like that type of post, it's tough to like quantify the return on investment for it. When you're looking at like success of a social media post, what are the things where you're saying like, I see this performing well, but like for you, why is it successful? You know what I mean? Like, why is it, what are the metrics or what are the things that you're using to determine whether or not that's successful or not?
Okay, well, this can be really, really complicated because I think the first thing we look at is vanity metrics. How many reach? How many people liked it? How many people whatnot. You can't put a dollar sign to a social media post. You can't say, I posted about this coffee shop and it became $500 worth of sales for that member. You're not going to get that. But what you will get is by repeatedly doing that, you're telling your chamber story and getting it back out. Trying to think, when I want to measure like my KPIs, I do definitely look at my reach and impressions. But there are things you have to do to get that. How engaging is your post? Do you want people, you want to ask questions in your post copy, like what is your favorite flavor of coffee? Tell us down below. Get people to start engaging and respond to every one of those comments. And that's going to get you a higher reach, engagement, and impression. Now, again, back to how are you going to turn that into a monetary value? That is just so hard to do because social media is branding. It's as they, I'm sure most people have heard the 7 touch points for marketing, right? You have to talk about things 7 times before somebody will make an action. So that's your job as a chamber, I feel like, is to get people to go over to that coffee shop and start following that coffee shop. So you might tell your coffee shop, hey, we're going to do this post. Let us know if you get new followers. And that might be your KPI, knowing how the success rate is there. Well, because we made this post, they got 30 new followers. Well, 30 new followers might be 10 new people coming into their business.
Yep. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I do try to like it is a tough thing to grasp. But when I try to speak on it or talk about it, it's like it's a full picture stuff because you're getting feedback from your customers, you're telling your story, you're getting the opportunity to engage and communicate with one another. Like you mentioned, tagging and getting them connected. That's another great way to go about doing that. You also mentioned Reels, and I think that's an I guess if you do it, it's easier. But not everybody has like the skill set to do reels. Do you have any tips or like ways where people who might be intimidated about doing that kind of stuff or just really don't know what to do, do you have any advice on how to make those successful?
Absolutely. And the easiest way you could do that is to think about an event recap. If you have an event, just take 30 different quick clips. You walk into the store, you took that clip, you pan through the store or the event, you pan over the speaker, you show the decorations, you have quick videos of people doing, networking and talking and shaking hands and smiling and laughing. And then maybe you wave at the end of it. So maybe by the end of this, you look at your phone and you have 20 clips. Then you go into, I would say, CapCut or InShot or any cheap um, program you can get on your phone, and you can find a template and just click through all your clips in order, and it'll put them together, and then you have a 30-second reel that is a quick recap of your event. I did one for the Events and Comms conference that we did in St. Paul back in October for ACCE. And I just, over the course of 2 days, just did clips, 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 clips. And on the last day, I woke up early that morning and put it all together real quick inside a CapCut and uploaded it, and it was done in 10 minutes. So it doesn't have to be time consuming, or you don't have to have a whole lot of understanding. You just have to have the wherewithal during the event to take clips of videos.
Yeah, is there anything that you see like you mentioned CapCut or and this is what I'll do when I do those, and I don't want to say it's the right word or not, but it's the easiest thing for me to do is I'll go inside of TikTok and I will do essentially the same thing. I'll shoot the 30 or 20 or 30 videos. It'll automatically put it together to some music and stuff. Um, and I'm assuming I haven't used CapCut, so assuming that kind of does a similar thing.
Yes, yes. But I'm with the changes in TikTok coming up right now. That's not going to be an option anymore. So you're going to have to start looking for other ones. Now I like InShot.
Uh-huh.
It's a good one. It's one that I already use. So I know there's a lot more out there, but CapCut I think is related to TikTok. So I don't know how long we'll have access to that. So we might have, I don't know. There might be a fact checker out there to tell me I'm wrong, but
Sure. And then I mean, I think you can do the same thing. I'm pretty sure I've done it inside of Instagram Reels as well, where I'm just posting it inside of the platform itself. Um,
Mhm.
so what is the value that using that external tool like CapCut does versus like just putting it inside of the Instagram Reel itself?
So if I'm doing it inside CapCut or another platform, I can download it to my phone and then upload it to YouTube Shorts, upload it to Facebook Reels, upload it to Instagram Reels, and now LinkedIn has the short form vertical videos that you can use. So, and then whatever other apps you may want to use that comes out in the future. So it doesn't have the uh, watermark on it.
Right.
So you don't want to take a TikTok video with the TikTok stuff and post it on Instagram because it might affect your reach.
Right, right, yeah. And it does. I know for sure that if you post something inside of the platform and it has that little watermark or it comes from that other platform, they're going to show it up way less on the other platform for sure. So that's good feedback for sure. Is there anything like specifically inside of Reels, like I'll see a lot where they have like really bold letters in the front and it's like here's what it is kind of stuff versus not having any lettering in it. Are there any specific things that you do that do make those Reels successful?
Yes. So I would make sure that it, if you're familiar with SEO and you're putting and you're inside of each app. So let's say you create a video inside of CapCut and you don't put the text on it, which I recommend you don't do. And then when you upload it into whichever platform, then you type over the top of it and you add that text. That counts as searchable options for that platform. So it can say, oh, okay, this is about chamber, or this is about employment, or this is about coffee, whatever it is that this video is about, and you're putting that in your caption above your head. So make sure you're leaving yourself a little room to put text up here, at least so people know quickly and within the first 2 to 3 seconds what your video is about.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Is there any other tips like that that you would recommend?
There's I am by no means the guru and I'm still learning. So I cannot say, do this and this will work
Yeah.
because it's all about trying everything.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's one of the main things where I feel like the other thing is for people that do get intimidated doing social media, it's just doing it. If you do it, it'll be easier. I remember or one of the challenges I had early on was I would go to an event and I would be like, man, I should have totally shot that. And I didn't. And then I felt like it was a lost opportunity. But every time that happened, I would just remind myself like that I need to do that next time. Next time there's that opportunity, I can remember that in the moment next time. And that's totally okay as long as you're making a concerted effort to try to do it. One of the things you also highlighted was tagging different groups and organizations. So, like, just like, why does that work? Why do you tag people? And just a brief understanding of how it works.
Okay, well, let's use Facebook because I think that's the one that most chambers use pretty religiously. Is when you upload let's say you take 40 photos at an event and you upload them into an album titled to that event. Well, when you click on each photo inside of that, you can tag that business. Well, what happens from there? That business who is a member sees, oh, the chamber tagged me, and they're more likely to share that album or that photo. And what does that do? That increases your own reach and your own brand and tells people, oh, look, the chamber is really active in this business. So you're going to get that business's their following are going to see you. And that might be more businesses that will see you. That might be new members because, hey, I saw what you guys did with X coffee shop and I want to be able to be tagged too. So it helps with the reach. It tells your story to more people and it gets your fingers in more pots.
You know, perfectly, and that does, and it does expand the reach because if they see it and tag it and share it, you're going to get more and comment on it. You're going to get more exposure through that as well. And then you also mentioned like including a call to action, and that's something where I'll say I struggle with that sometimes. Is sometimes you're just doing the storytelling and you're telling your story and you're not necessarily doing a call to action. But what are some examples of call to actions? Do you do it on everything? Um, and if you do or you don't, why or why not?
Okay, so call to action is I'm gonna go back to the coffee shop because I really like coffee shop. And so let's say you, as a chamber, you tag a coffee shop, and you might say your call to action might be go by today and pick up your copy and tell them that the chamber sent you. That might be the call to action for that post. Or maybe you're telling a story about the event that you just had, and the call to action is in the last line. Go to our website here and see when our upcoming. It's basically just telling the person to do whatever you want them to do because we assume that they know what we want them to do or that they know what our programs are. We know they don't know. So we have to remember to over communicate what that is and tell them exactly what we want them to do. So it could be like I said, anything from go to our website and and subscribe to our event page, or be sure to like our page to get all of our future updates. Or we're on Instagram too. Are you following us there? Or, it's just making just again, be direct and tell them what you want them to do.
Yeah, and do you do that on every post?
I try my best to do that on every post. Now, uh, it really depends because also for ACCE, I've broken up our content into different types of buckets. So it's about a bucket for events and programming and um, as well as events telling you what it is, events showing people who were there, and events promoting it. So I'm definitely going to put the call to action for events when I'm promoting it. But if I'm showing what we did at the last ACCE, and maybe we don't have next year's on there yet, so I can't really promote next year's convention until I have that information. But I have buckets for membership on selling ACCE membership. We're doing the same thing you guys are doing. We're selling memberships as well as we're highlighting our members. And we highlight our members through the articles that we write and the stories that we write and the news that they share that hey, by the way, Chino Valley is doing this amazing thing. Have you checked it out? That's how we are highlighting our members. There's also a professional development bucket. So everything that falls into those things. So my content calendar is very full and has stuff for every day of the week that covers each of those buckets. But I definitely try to keep it 80% about you guys and 20% about us.
Okay, cool. That's a good tip. 80/20 rule. And then we also let me expand on the buckets a little bit and like your content calendar. So you said you have three different buckets.
I
Um,
actually have a lot more than three.
sorry, I meant other buckets. And then how do you, so tell me a little about the process of the buckets and your content calendar and what that looks like.
Okay, well, it's kind of hard to explain, but I like to start with let's say you have one major thing at the top of what you are. So let's say it's um, Chino Valley Chamber. Okay, it's your number one thing. And then yeah, right there. And then underneath that, you could break it into four or five things. So maybe your chamber is membership, it's events, it's community development, it's economic development, and then maybe it's advocacy. Well, that's four or five buckets that you've just broken out your main stuff into four or five things. Then you would go over into, let's say, membership, and you could break membership into four different things. So you have membership sales, membership highlights, membership ambassadors, um, or maybe there's just three or however many that you want to break it up into. And you really got a blog and a post about each one of those items going all the way up to Chino Valley. And you do that for each one of those, and that's how you break your content into buckets that are manageable, bite sizes, and gives you more ideas. Did I explain that very well?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great way to explain it. So like you have these buckets, and you mentioned a couple of them. So let's say like a membership sales or membership highlight. Um, in terms of like executing on that, like that, I feel like that's also a challenge sometimes. We have, I mean, I'll have a marketing teams where I'm kind of expecting some of those things to get posted about, like a membership highlight, but maybe they'll reach out to a member. The member doesn't respond. There's all that kind of stuff where there's a lot of back and forth that goes on. It doesn't always happen. Are there any tips or tricks you have to make sure like that stuff does get executed on? So if you have this content plan, you don't always get the content you need to fill those out. Do you always post on that stuff? Is there wiggle room? I mean, like I'm just curious on how that works for you.
Sure. So I have an Excel spreadsheet and I'm happy to share it with you and anybody who wants it. But it has every day of the year and I break it into three areas or three empty post spots per day. And then I break it into Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, Threads, X, all of those. And I leave wiggle room in case something comes up that I don't know is going to happen that day that we need to post. But I plan out about a week to 2 weeks out and schedule my content. So, like, I can already, at the beginning of the year, I had most of my events planned. I knew exactly when I was going to start marketing them. My calendar it fills up, and then I color code it. So I know if it's going to be an event is going to be orange. So people, if anybody wants to go and look at my calendar, they could say, oh yeah, she promoted our events X, Y, and Z times. Um, but no, I don't stick to like it has to be 3 times a week and it has to be this. But though it just helped me know, okay, what if I don't have anything to post or if I'm falling behind, I can quickly go back and say, okay, well, I need to go and find more memberships I have to highlight. And it's easy to find that. For your teams, it might mean just going over there and taking a picture of their storefront or don't do the storefront. That's boring. Go into the store and maybe try on the clothes or get yourself a cup of coffee. To, relying on your member to give you information all the time is a surefire recipe to be waiting to post when you could just go over there and do it. And as a membership touch point, you're getting the content that you want that's going to be good for your content on your page. That's not just an awful photo or because when you sometimes you just get bad stuff from other people.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. Okay. Well, cool. Yeah. And I'd love to see that Excel spreadsheet for sure. Um, is there anything else that you feel like that we didn't touch on today that is a social media win that I should highlight or that you would like to highlight?
Well, the main thing I want to remind people is that it's a social media. So you need to be social on there. Don't just talk at people, talk with people. Get into your comments, make comments back and forth. If somebody asks a question that where is this located? And it's already in your post. Just be kind and answer the question because you don't know who else is watching and how you behave and how you respond in those comments is going to be reflective of you. And comments are king. So get down in the comments and create that community and think about when you're posting, is this something you'd want to read? Is it interesting to you? Um, and stay away from those PDF posts that just are flyers. Don't put QR codes in your post because people can't click on them or use their phone. How many QR codes have you seen on a post on Facebook when you're like, how am I supposed to access this? Um, don't put links in your Instagram text because people can't click on them. Find a link tree or a link in bio. Uh, and just talk to people. It's a platform for us to engage.
Okay, well, so you touched on one thing there. Let's talk about the link tree. So flesh that out. I know the value of it, but I want to make sure that other people do. So what is a link tree and how does it work?
Okay, Linktree, if you're using it's it's like a landing page on your website. Let's say you have a website that has all of your links are listed on that one page. So Linktree gives you that opportunity to put everything that you have that you want people to be able to get to on one page. So on Instagram, you can have, I think, up to 3 different links in your bio. So you want to use that Linktree so they know, oh, okay, from here I can go to their website, I can go to their Facebook page, their LinkedIn, their Twitter. Maybe you have your Amazon influencer list there, or your affiliates list, or your TikTok, or whatever other platforms you want to go to. So it's basically a catch-all for all the links that you want people to be able to get to quickly. And you can track them.
Excellent. Well, Katie, thank you so much for chatting with me on this topic today. I really appreciate it, and thank you for you've highlighted me and the stuff that we do in our chamber. So I want to thank you for that, and it's been a pleasure getting to know you and work alongside you in this. And thank you for sharing your wisdom on social media.
Well, I'm happy to do that and reach out anytime you have questions. I'm here to help.
Love it. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye.